1. The hidden secrets of the Great Wall of China. The Great Wall isn't a single continuous wall but a series of walls and fortifications. Explore lesser-known facts about the construction, purpose, and the myth of the wall being visible from space. 2. The untold story of the Enigma code. The Enigma machine was used by Nazi Germany during World War II to encrypt messages. Discuss how Alan Turing and his team at Bletchley Park cracked the code, shortening the war by years. 3. Catherine the Great's unconventional rise to power. Catherine the Great was a German princess who became the Empress of Russia. Her strategic marriage, coup against her husband, and subsequent rule that expanded and modernized Russia. 4. The bizarre assassination attempt on Lenin. Lenin survived an assassination attempt in 1918. Highlight: the attempt by Fanny Kaplan and its impact on Lenin's health and policies. 5. The Ghost Army of World War II. A tactical deception unit used inflatable tanks and fake radio transmissions. How this Ghost Army fooled the Nazis and contributed to the success of the D-Day landings. 6. The mysterious death of Alexander the Great. Theories range from poisoning to natural causes, and the legacy he left behind. 7. Joan of Arc, from peasant to heroine. Joan of Arc, a peasant girl, led the French army to victory during the 100 Years' War. Her visions, military successes, and tragic martyrdom. 8. Napoleon's exile and return. Napoleon Bonaparte was exiled twice. His escape from Elba, the 100 Days, and eventual defeat at Waterloo leading to his final exile on St. Helena. 9. The rise and fall of the Aztec Empire. The Aztec Empire was one of the most powerful Mesoamerican civilizations. Their advanced society, the arrival of Hernan Cortés, and the eventual fall to the Spanish conquistadors. 10. The Cold War's nuclear close calls. Several incidents during the Cold War nearly led to nuclear war. The Cuban Missile Crisis, the Able Archer exercise, and other lesser-known events that brought the world to the brink of nuclear conflict. 1. Famous firsts. First circumnavigation of the globe, highlight the journey of Magellan and his fleet, focusing on their accomplishments and the challenges they faced. 2. Unexpected outcomes. Spanish conquistadors and the New World, discuss the unintended consequences of the Spanish conquest, such as the introduction of European diseases that devastated indigenous populations. 3. Unique rulers. Emperor Montezuma and Hernan Cortés, explore the encounter between Montezuma and Cortés, the cultural misunderstandings, and the resulting fall of the Aztec Empire. 4. Historical battles. Battle of Cajamarca, narrate the story of Francisco Pizarro's capture of the Inca Emperor Atahualpa and the impact it had on the Inca Empire. 5. Cultural exchanges. Manila Galleons, explain the significance of the Manila-Acapulco galleons in facilitating trade between Asia and the Americas, and how it influenced global trade networks. 6. Colonial systems. Encomienda system, describe the encomienda system in Spanish America, how it exploited indigenous labor, and its eventual decline. 7. Colonial rivalries. English, Dutch, and French colonization, compare the different approaches and conflicts among the English, Dutch, and French as they established their colonies in the New World. 8. Piracy in the Caribbean. Golden Age of piracy, highlight famous pirates like Henry Morgan and their impact on colonial trade and settlements. 9. Religious influence. Catholic missionaries, discuss the role of Catholic missionaries in converting indigenous populations in Latin America and the cultural exchanges that occurred. 10. Economic exploitation. Sugar plantations and slavery, examine the development of sugar plantations in the Caribbean and Brazil, and the introduction of African slaves to work on these plantations. Script example for a YouTube short. Title: The First Circumnavigation, Magellan's Epic Voyage. In 1522, the expedition returned to Spain, completing the first circumnavigation of the globe and proving that it was possible to reach the East Indies by sailing westward, opening new routes for global exploration and trade. 1. The Pirate Republics of the Golden Age of Piracy. Title: Pirate Havens, the Golden Age of Piracy. Highlight Nassau as a famous pirate haven. Mention legendary pirates like Blackbeard, Bartholomew Roberts, and Calico Jack. Explain how pirate communities operated and their impact on maritime trade. 2. The rise and fall of the Kingdom of Mutapa. The Kingdom of Mutapa, gold, trade, and Portuguese influence. Discuss the Shona state and its control over gold and salt trade. Describe the relationship between Mutapa and the Portuguese. Explain the impact of Portuguese colonization on Mutapa. 3. The transatlantic slave trade. The Middle Passage, the dark journey of the transatlantic slave trade. Provide an overview of the Middle Passage and its brutal conditions. Mention the triangular trade and its economic impact. Highlight the human cost and the legacy of the slave trade. 4. The Dutch colonization in Africa. Dutch influence in Africa, from Cape Colony to the spice trade. Key points. Describe the establishment of the Cape of Good Hope as a Dutch colony. Explain the impact on the Portuguese presence in Africa. Mention the development of Afrikaans and the Boers. 5. Maroon communities, resistance and freedom. Maroon communities, the fight for freedom. Define Maroon communities and their origins. Highlight famous Maroon settlements like Palmares in Brazil. Discuss their resistance to colonial forces and their legacy. 6. The impact of the transatlantic slave trade on Africa. Africa's transformation, the aftermath of the slave trade. Discuss the demographic and social impact on African communities. Explain the shift in trade patterns from trans-Saharan to coastal. Highlight the role of African intermediaries and the rise of corrupt local powers. 7. The decline of the Songhai Empire. The fall of the Songhai Empire, gunpowder and conquest. Provide a brief history of the Songhai Empire and its prosperity. Explain the Moroccan invasion and the use of gunpowder. Discuss the empire's collapse and its consequences for West Africa. 8. The legacy of Blackbeard, the fearsome pirate. Introduce Edward Teach, aka Blackbeard. Describe his ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, and his notorious tactics. Mention his death and the end of his reign of terror. 9. African influence on the Americas, cultural and demographic changes. African roots in the Americas, from slavery to cultural influence. Discuss the demographic shift in the Caribbean and the Americas. Highlight African cultural contributions, such as music and cuisine. Mention the lasting impact on American societies. 10. The Golden Age of Piracy, lawlessness on the high seas. Golden Age of Piracy, pirates versus the world. Explain the peak of pirate activities and their impact on global trade. Mention key pirate figures and their notorious acts. Discuss the decline of piracy and efforts to restore order on the seas. 1. The Ashanti Empire and the gold trade. The Golden Empire, Ashanti's rise to power. Highlight the Ashanti Empire's dominance in the gold trade in the late 1600s, its cultural significance, and its legacy. 2. Pirate havens, Nassau and the Golden Age of Piracy. Pirate republics, the legends of Nassau. Discuss the pirate republics, focusing on Nassau in the Bahamas, and legendary pirates like Blackbeard, Bartholomew Roberts, and Anboni. 3. The downfall of the Kingdom of Congo. The fall of the Kingdom of Congo. Explore how the Portuguese influenced the decline of the Kingdom of Congo, its interactions with European traders, and the impact on its people. 4. Omani-Somali coalition versus Portuguese in East Africa. Expulsion of the Portuguese, the Omani-Somali victory. Detail the coalition of Omani and Somali forces expelling the Portuguese from Kenya and Tanzania and the subsequent decline of Swahili coast trade. 5. The Tang Empire's use of firearms. Gunpowder Empire, the Tang's rise in Southeast Asia. Highlight the short-lived Tang Empire's rapid expansion using Portuguese firearms and its influence in Southeast Asia. 6. The impact of the transatlantic slave trade. The Dark Voyage, the Middle Passage and its toll. 7. Dutch East India Company's dominance. The first multinational, the Dutch East India Company. Content: focus on the VOC's dominance in the spice trade, its role in Southeast Asia, and its legacy as the first multinational corporation. 8. Religious dynamics in Southeast Asia. Faiths and powers, religion in early modern Southeast Asia. Explore the spread of Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity in Southeast Asia during the early modern period, highlighting key cultural practices and religious influences. 9. The transatlantic slave trade's impact on Africa. Africa's tragic trade, the impact of slavery. Examine how the transatlantic slave trade affected African societies, including demographic changes, social disruption, and the rise of powerful intermediaries. 10. The rise and fall of the Ayatollah Kingdom. Ayatollah, the kingdom that ruled Southeast Asia. Cover the rise of the Ayatollah Kingdom, its strategic importance in Southeast Asia, and the factors leading to its downfall.